I wanted to make this video on the original JBL Boombox. Our original problem with our JBL Boombox, as you can see, we've got all the speakers out. And I'm gonna explain to you why those speakers are out and why you have to take them out. As you can see, there's the handle. Somebody painted it red, but it's originally black. This would have been our second connector, our second power supply for the JBL that basically broke right up at the very end of the neck. So I had to tear it apart very carefully and resolder it. And you know, it'll probably get heat shrink tubing put on it later on. But I figured if anybody else wanted to know how to get into these things to be able to change the battery, this is how. Okay? So, once you get the sides off, let me tell you, there's videos on how to pop these side covers off. How to get this off. Okay? You have to get the first part off, you know, with that turn. Flat tip screwdriver, small little one helps. Once you get these off each side, it's open. It's open season. All right? And as you can see, in order to be able to get to the screws down in there, I don't know if you can see them or not, you have to take the speakers out. There's just no other way. And the only way to get this last one out, there's one that basically hides itself right down in there. And I didn't put it back in just because it was a bitch to get out. But there's basically a screw that goes in right down in there, basically holding the base on. This is the base right here where the battery's at. The battery pack is right inside here. And as you can see, here's the wire coming from the battery pack up to the main board right there. You can't turn it on without the battery pack attached. Well, ours at least. So I mean, my guess is they're using it for capacital bank for the boombox, you know, for the dump for the current pull, you know. So when you want to, you know, that big thump, it pulls the power from the battery bank instead of the power supply, you know, because that winky dink power supply, you know, it has its limitations. But needless to say, in order to get access to all this, you're going to have to remove those two speakers. That wasn't any of the original diagrams, by the way. None of it was. They just had pictures of how to tear this thing apart. So all I could say is you're going to have a flat or regular screwdriver. Phillips screwdriver will do most of the work. Flat tip just to get on, you know, get the caps off. You know, they have these pieces right here. These buggers are hard as hell to get off. That trickster, that took a lot of work, especially when they painted it. It had basically glued itself onto the end of these things right here. Because see, once you get this off, you're golden. But you're going to have to go all the way down. A lot of screws, let me tell you, just to be able to get to the battery pack. Battery pack's just right under here. My recommendation: don't put the battery pack. Don't put all the screws back in. Just the ones you can get access to, so don't make your life miserable. But you know, this one was, you know, these are all pains. Short stubbies, Phillips screwdrivers help get that done. Other than that, it works just fine now. I had basically resoldered the power connector on the back right here, on, you know, inside that board right there, right in here, right behind there. On the other side, there's in this little cavity right here. This cavity has a board in it. And once that was resoldered, I mean, this thing fired right back up. But the original problem was that this thing broke, and we were hooking up other things to it, and it didn't want to turn on. But after tearing it apart and putting it back together, it turns on now. What a pain in the butt, you know. But I had to make this video so that people know how to get inside this bugger. And the secret is just to get these things off. Just take your speakers out, your two drivers. Once you get those babies out and, you know, off the box, it's basically open season to all the screws. And you can see the screws right there. They're all marked. But those are the reason. Whoa, what a pain in the butt to get all the way down to those screws. But once you get those screws undone, this part comes off. It goes this way off the base. So that way you can get in and change out your battery pack. They sell new ones on eBay, you know, $20-$30, and it's worth it because it's a $500 speaker. So is it worth tearing it apart? Yeah, absolutely. And then once you get everything rerouted, you know, just reroute it and then re-zip tie it when you're done. You know, but I just wanted to let people know that you have to remove, I would have to say 99.9% of the time you're going to have to remove those drivers to be able to get all these screws out with no problem. Because you can use the short nubby once you get them in there. So anywho, like I said, this is a JBL Original Boombox, the original $500 unit. These are not cheap, so that's why I tore it apart, and I was like, okay, let me redo this. And you have to take your time. I mean, this thing's not easy to tear down. I'd have to say on a scale of 1 to 10, for 10 being the hardest, this was probably about an 8, if not a 7. I mean, definitely between there, just to be able to get access to be able to fix, to resolder stuff. But other than that, like I said, don't forget to remove the speakers. Once you get the drivers out, you're golden.